Bum 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 bum. The Peter Dislike Show. Bum 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 bum. So I've been here in Taiwan for 2 months now, and I want to talk about some lessons learned because sometimes you get so lost in your current situation. It's really hard to take in anything until you step away from it. I was running into a lot of drama back home in the United States. I live in Phoenix, Arizona, right? I'm a college professor at a community college. And a lot of times you get stuck in your ways and you step away from it. Oh my God, did I really do that? One thing I learned is that I have to separate business with trying to make connections, and especially the dating world. What really got me in a lot of trouble at not only my job, but also with my roommates and my housing situation is that I mingled all of that together, and it became a huge jumbled jam of not setting boundaries and allowing people to walk all over me. I got myself in hot water at two different houses in large part because of that. The first one, I kind of had feelings for one of my roommates, um, and I the owner of the place was a high school teacher, and the two of us kind of had some common interests. We're both educators, right? And I also overshared. During the time I was living there, I was going through heartbreak, right? I had just come out of last summer when I was all alone and the prejudice I dealt with. And I overshared that with both my landlord and the other roommate. I also overshared about how my best friend at church had set me up on the blind date. And I really got the sense that the owner rode all of my ups and downs to her advantage. And for example, she had a home repair emergency. It was just before Thanksgiving. Water pipe had burst, and on Thanksgiving Day, I went out to a party with my best friend and also the date that he had set me up with. I was in a good mood. When I got home, the owner probably sensed I was in a good mood. I was like, "Hey, could you pay your rent today? We just had to pay out a lot for the insurance deductible." And in an ideal world, I would say, "Gee, we still don't have carpets to walk on, right? Can I at least pay toward the carpet so we could at least start working on the repair?" I should have said, in an ideal world, that's what I should have said. But I was in such a good mood with my buddies at church that I didn't want to disrupt that. And I think my landlord capitalized on that. And that's one thing I've learned the hard way. Americans are people who learn how to capitalize on everything, and everything's a business in America. In Taiwanese culture, what I did might have been okay, but that was in the United States, right? My second set of roommates, I more or less practiced the same kind of problem. What had happened was that the girl that my friend at church set me up with, her ex boyfriend was looking for a roommate. Yeah, I know that probably wasn't a good idea, right? But at the same time, I thought I could use that as a way to gain some insider information. They had a very peaceful breakup. We're all still very close to one another. And I missed a couple of warning signs. One day, I was working two jobs plus my art projects. I was really tired. And when I got home, I collapsed on the couch. And when I woke up, my roommate, aka the owner, aka the guy who had her ex boyfriend, he had commented on some lyrics that I had written down on a piece of paper in my backpack. I'm like, "Gee, did I give you permission to go through my stuff?" At the time, I was confused, but I wasn't terribly upset because they weren't something that I wasn't going to share with him anyway. It's just how he went about it that kind of confounded me. He drinks a lot, and sometimes under the influence, he doesn't practice very good uh, social skills. What's really upsetting is that every time I try to point out his social skills, he points out something that I did that doesn't really bother him. Like, for example, that I won't listen to him ramble about some. He's going to school and working, and he's studying some kind of biology, and he goes on and on, and I'm like, gee, I don't have the capacity for that. I got 2 jobs, I got an art career going on, and I'm kind of lost in the dating world. I don't have the capacity. I love biology, I just don't have the capacity to take it in right now, and he thinks that's wrong for me to say that, disrespectful to him. And so then I shut him off. I put on my headphones. Now, funny thing is that during my time living there, my headphones kept disappearing. I didn't realize it was him taking them away until I had a big falling out with him. And my friend, the friend at church who set me up on the blind date, helped me move because we had a really bad falling out. I didn't want to see him. My friend at church went over to pick up my stuff, and we realized 4 or 5 sets of headsets that had disappeared reappeared. And I don't know if he took them. I do misplace things a lot myself, but 5 sets in such a small home. The other weakness of mine, aside from the fact that I overshared and the fact that I moved in with somebody who I had a personal connection with, the other weakness of mine, I have a tendency to forget about things when I'm not in the midst of them, right? So, for example, I'm upset that he looked through my backpack, but the next day, things are calm again. I forget to point out. Because the best time to resolve conflict is when you're not in the midst of it, right? It's impossible to resolve a conflict when everybody's screaming. The best time is on a Saturday when everything is good, when his favorite sports team is on, during the commercial break. Hey, I want to point out something that happened earlier this week. I'm glad you liked the lyrics I wrote for Mary Curry, but I really would appreciate. I feel violated that you went through my stuff. I should have done that, but unfortunately, when things are good, there's a tendency to forget. Same thing at the workplace, right? Hey, I'm very upset that I had mentioned about my vacation plans, and then you lost track of them, right? On a good day, when I'm getting a good performance review, is probably the best time to bring that up. But unfortunately, I tend to forget when times are good, right? It's only when times are rotten, when everybody's screaming at each other, that it's fresh on my mind. That's another skill I need to work on. Okay, another thing I want to reflect on is I realize how much I Peter dislike driving, but that's probably something I'll think about the next time I move. Is the city I'm moving to, the place I'm moving to, car-free friendly, right? That's probably one big criteria I'm going to be thinking about the next time I take another job or whatever the situation is. But my big takeaway is that I got to separate business with personal matters. I think it's easier if I treat Taiwan as the place I go to make friends and for dating, right? And treat the U.S. as where I conduct business, right? I think that's probably how I'll handle it. I like it because I get along with people here a lot better. And to learn the best time to resolve conflict is when you're not in the midst of it. Maybe in the future, when I'm having those big conflicts where everybody is only screaming at each other, to kind of write down what I'm thinking and put that aside. And on a day when everybody's happy, to clean that up and bring it up, right? I always forget when I get good performance reviews to bring up something that I want my boss to hear out when he's too angry to hear any. I always forget to do that. The other thing I suck at doing is I don't read poker faces very well. See, part of the reason I didn't bring up what I needed to bring up with both sets of roommates is that I don't have very stable housing situations, and I really feel like I'm precariously hanging in all of these situations, and I often don't know where I stand with things. It's very possible that both of these landlords needed my rent money as well, but I didn't know that, right? I need to get better at reading it, and I probably had a lot more leverage. When that first landlord was saying, can you pay your rent early? I'm like, gee, it's not due until Monday. I don't have it at the moment. Or maybe just, it's not due until Monday. I'll give it to you on Monday, right? Had I read it correctly, I might have done that. Or maybe give it early, but ask for something in return. Right? Like, hey, we still don't have carpet to walk on. It's been a week since the flood. Can I at least make the check out to wherever you're getting your carpet repaired, so I know it's we're working toward progress, right? Something to that effect, right? Or if it's at the workplace, hey, I'll fill in for you, but I expect such and such days off, and maybe put it in writing, right? I need to get better at understanding how much leverage I have. I often give up leverage because I don't know I have it, right? This is the Peter Dislike Show. Bum 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 bum.